Listen closely, chosen one. Because what I'm about to reveal isn't just a message, it's the truth your spirit has been feeling, the shift your soul has been sensing, the revelation heaven has been preparing you to receive. Something collapsed recently. Something broke in the unseen. Something snapped in the spiritual realm so violently, so suddenly, so completely the forces assigned to your destruction panicked. And you felt it, didn't you? Maybe not with your physical eyes, but your spirit knew. The air felt different. Your chest felt lighter. Your mind felt clearer. Your sleep felt calmer. Because what was supposed to take you out has fallen on itself. The enemy's blueprint, the one whispered in darkness, the one fueled by jealousy, the one energized by hatred, the one empowered by spiritual monitoring, has been torn apart by the light you carry. This is the moment everything changed. You didn't see the collapse, but heaven did. And now you're living in the aftermath of divine rescue. The enemy studied you, but they misread you for months, for years, for seasons. Forces in the spiritual realm studied you, not because you were weak, but because you were chosen. They watched your emotions, they tracked your wounds, they monitored your pain, and they thought they found your breaking point. They believed they finally discovereth exact moment where they could strike your spirit and make you collapse. But here's the revelation. They studied your wounds, but they did not see your resilience. They analyzed your tears, but they did not measure your strength. They counted your weaknesses, but they did not sense the divine fire growing inside you. They expected you to fall, but what they didn't know is that every cry, every betrayal, every disappointment pushed you closer to your awakening. You weren't breaking, you were transforming. The hidden attack they hoped would destroy youth. Enemy crafted a plan that involved people, energy, confusion, spiritual exhaustion, and emotional sabotage. It wasn't random, it wasn't accidental, it was assigned. There were moments you felt drained without knowing why. Moments your heart felt heavy without explanation. Moments your motivation disappeared for no logical reason. Moments your thoughts spiraled in directions that did not reflect who you truly are. That wasn't weakness, that was warfare. And deep down, your soul knew it. Your intuition kept warning you. Your dreams revealed pieces. Your spirit grew restless even when your mind tried to stay calm. Because something, someone, some force was trying to sabotage your destiny ball it could fully activate. But here's what they didn't understand. You are not an ordinary soul. You carry a lineage of light, a mantle of protection, a spiritual signature of that darkness cannot decode. They attacked you based on who they thought you were, not who you truly are. And that mistake alone caused their plan to collapse. When heaven finally said, "Enough," every chosen one reaches a turning point. A divine deadline where heaven steps in and shuts down everything that was sent to harm them. For you, that moment has already happened. You survived the last attack, and not just survived, you awakened from it. Your spirit opened, your intuition sharpened, your energy realigned, your identity surfaced, your light intensified. And the moment that light intensified, heaven moved, the angelic realm descended. Your protection multiplied. Your spiritual authority rose like a shield of fire. And everything, every plan, every trap, every energy attack, every jealous intention, every dark whisper collapsed under the weight of your destiny. Darkness does not win against a chosen one. Woe has awakened. It never has, it never will. Demons didn't just fail, they have failed as something. You need to understand, right now, demons don't run from noise. Demons don't run from human strength. Demons don't run from emotion. Demons run from light. And your light, after everything you went through, has become blinding to them. They can't monitor you anymore. They can't drain you anymore. They can't whisper into your thoughts anymore. They can't send confusion into your spirit anymore. Your frequency has risen to a level they cannot reach. You no longer match the environment where they once fed on your vulnerability. You shifted, you elevated, you ascended, and now when they sense your presence, they run, not walk, not retreat, run. Retreat, run, because your spirit is no longer accessible, it's fortified. You are wrapped in divine protections as puncture. The enemy realize any attempt to reach Yawald cost them everything. You are in a new spiritual era. The collapse of the enemy's plan was not the end, it was the beginning of your rise, chosen one. Before we go deeper, you must understand this truth. You never realized how dangerous you are to the kingdom of darkness. You never understood why you were targeted so early, so young, so consistently. You thought it was bad luck. You thought it was your fault. You thought you were weak, cursed, or unlucky. But listen closely, because heaven is revealing this to you now. The attacks were never proof of your weakness. They were evidence of your power. The enemy saw your potential long before you saw it in yourself. And the moment your light rose, the moment you healed, the moment you started waking up spiritually, your energy became something darkness cannot stand. You think your light is soft, but in the spiritual realm, it's a WIAPO in humans, see. Your kindness. Heaven sees your calling. Demons see your fire. You think your heart is gentle. The enemy sees it as a threat. You think your empathy is ordinary. The spiritual realm recognizes it as divine. You think your compassion makes you vulnerable, but compassion is actually a mark of high-ranking, chosen one ascent to elevate the world, heal timelines, and shift destinies. You think you're just a person, but spiritually, you walk with a mantle that carries authority older than your ancestors. You weren't attacked because you were weak. You were attacked because your lightness, the exact frequency it breaks generational curses and dismantles demonic assignments. Your very presence disrupts darkness. The enemy recognized you before you. Recognized why you were SLF, chosen one. You must hear this. Darkness identified. You Heil. You were still asleep spiritually. They noticed your gifts before you understood them. They saw your calling beer. You walked in it. They detected your destiny bore. You could even spell it. That's why you were isolated, young, betrayed, repeat liturged by jealous peer, by your own attacked in your dreams, spiritually drained, constantly tested, surrounded by energy vampires, pushed toward emotional breaking points, because you carried something they feared might wake up. And now it has. The breaking point that activated your spirit. Do you remember the momentous soul snapped awake? It wasn't random, it wasn't accidental. It was triggered by pain, by betrayal, by sudden loss, by a heartbreak, by a dark night of the soul, by a spiritual attack that went too far. The enemy thought that moment will destroy you. Instead, it unlocked you. That moment flipped a switch. Inside you that can never be turned off again. It awakened your intuition, your prophetic sensitivity, discernment, pure, ancestral memorial, divine authority, spiritual gifts, your connection to the higher realm. You were reborn without even realizing it. And the reborn version of you, the version demons fear. When you rise, darkness loses. TERRI2RY. Your elevation did not just benefit you, it caused the enemy to lose access to you. Before you awakened, darkness fed off your confusion, low energy, pain, broken trust, fear of abandonment, a seer to be loved. But now, you healed enough that their hooks can't attach anymore. You learned enough that their lies don't land. You grew enough that their illusions have no effect. You discern enough that their disguises fail instantly. You elevated enough that their frequency can't reach you. This is why demons run from your light. Your evolution has outgrown their access points. You're not living at the same spiritual height anymore. Darkness tries to reach you, but you've ascended above their atmosphere. You don't fight like before. You fight with authority, unknown you. You remember how you used to react to attacks. You cried, you panicked, you overthought everything. You questioned your worth. You felt powerless. But now, you don't respond the same way. You don't collapse easily. You don't beg for clarity. You don't chase validation. You don't crumble. Emotionally, you feel attacks before they come. You sense dishonesty before it reveals itself. You see through people instantly. You know when an atmosphere changes. You recognize hidden jealousy. You spot manipulation. Instantly, you detect spiritual projection in seconds. You operate from an elevated consciousness, not a wounded one. And that shift terrifies the enemy, because demons can fight a wounded chosen one, but they cannot fight an awakened one. The enemy lost the battle when you found why you most powerful thing you've ever done was not healing, not cutting off toxic people, not praying, not protecting your energy, not elevating your frequency. The most powerful thing you ever did was realize who you are. Your spirit remembered itself. Your soul recognized its identity. Your destiny reintroduced itself to you. Your purpose spoke louder than your pain. Your light refused to stay dim. And when you met the true version of yourself, the higher version, the divine version, the chosen version, the enemy lost its chance to destroy you. Once a chosen one sees themselves, every dark assignment collapses. And that is why their attacks have stopped working. That is why the energy can't reach you. That is why their plan fell apart. That is why demons run when they sense your presence. Your light is no longer flickering, it's blazing, and the world feels it. The night was colder than it should have been. Unnaturally cold. Not the kind of chill that comes from a winter breeze, but the kind that touches bone. The kind that whispers something is watching. The chosen one felt it as he stepped outside. He wasn't afraid, he was aware. There's a difference. Fear makes you hide. Awareness makes you stand taller. And that night, he stood taller than ever before. The moonlight stretched across the empty road like a silver ribbon, glowing against the dark sky. Every sound echoed: a dog barking far away, the rustle of leaves, the hum of a streetlight. Nothing looked unusual, yet everything felt different. He walked slowly, sensing something shifting in the atmosphere around him, like a curtain being pulled back from a stage. That's when he heard the first whisper, not from a person, not from the wind, from the unseen. A low hiss brushing against his ear. He sees too much. The chosen one froze, not in fear, but in recognition. Something had broken through the veil. Something that wasn't supposed to be here. But instead of retreating, he took another step forward, Because a chosen one never runs. He read the signs. He felt the spiritual texture of the moment dense, trembling, expectant. That's when he realized the enemy's watchtower had fallen. They were no longer observing him from a distance, they were approaching, and not with power, with panic. The second whisper came sharper, slicing through the silence like a blade. He knows. It wasn't meant for him, it was meant for the others, the ones that were already running. But the more they tried to retreat, the more their fear became obvious, like dark stains spreading across the air. He turned his head slowly, and that's when he saw it. Not with his physical eyes, those can only see the surface of things. His spiritual sight cracked open without warning. It felt like standing in two worlds at once, two realities, overlapping. Two layers of truth sliding into alignment, and suddenly, the veil tore open. What stood in front of him wasn't a figure exactly, but a shape-shifting, flickering, trying desperately to compress itself into a shadow, as if the light around him was burning it alive. Its edges peeled away like smoke. Its form collapsed inward, trembling. This was no attack. This was exposure. It had been hiding for years, maybe longer, lingering at a distance, pulling strings quietly, nudging situations here and there. It thought it was in control. But tonight, it had been dragged into the open by the weight of his awakening. The presence stuttered, pulsing like a glitch in reality. Every time it tried to move, the air crackled with something electric, something holy. It couldn't get closer. It couldn't even stand upright. It bowed without wanting to. The chosen one didn't speak. He didn't shout. He didn't pray out loud or cast anything away. He simply existed. And his existence alone created pressure. Because when a chosen one begins to understand who they are, the enemy loses stability. He took another step forward. The shadow jolted back violently as if struck, and that's when the whispers turned into shrieks. He's seen us. Pull back, pull back. The light, the light, the light. But the chosen one didn't glow. He didn't radiate beams or flames or halos. His light was quieter, stronger. It came from the center of his being, from the battles he survived, from the wounds he carried but overcame. It came from the purity of his soul, something darkness cannot touch without burning itself. The shadow recoiled again, dissolving like soot in water, and then he felt it, a warmth beginning at his spine, rising slowly up to his neck, reaching his crown. It wasn't physical. It was spiritual fire, something ancient, something protective, something that had been waiting for the exact second he stepped into awareness. The shadow's panic surged. He's not supposed to feel that. Retreat. Retreat. But it was too late. The moment his spiritual senses opened, everything shifted. He could see the battlefield that was invisible to him before. He could hear conversations that were whispered about him behind the veil. He could sense the traps that were planted in his path, traps that would now fail before they even formed. He could even feel something else. They were afraid of him, deeply, desperately, almost hysterically. His awakening wasn't a small event, it was an earthquake. Collapse of their strategy. They had spent years constructing walls around his destiny, whispering doubts, sending counterfeits, orchestrating betrayals, creating emotional storms to exhaust him. They tried to mentally drain him, isolate him, confuse him, weaken his confidence. But the moment he stepped into spiritual clarity, their entire blueprint disintegrated. He didn't need to fight the shadow. He didn't need to banish it. His realization alone destroyed its authority, because the enemy thrives in the dark, but it collapses in revelation. He finally spoke, his voice steady, quiet, grounded. "Why were you watching me?" The shadow twitched violently, as if the question itself was a blow. It didn't want to answer, but the light rising in him forced an honesty that darkness couldn't suppress. "You're marked," it whispered, its voice trembling. "Marked," that word hit him deep. "By what?" he asked. The shadow's edges shivered. "By destiny. By purpose. By the one who walks with you, even when you forget." The chosen one felt a heaviness in his chest, not fear, but understanding. Pieces of the puzzle began falling into place. Every attack, every setback, every betrayal, every lonely night, every sudden loss, every spiritual pressure. It wasn't random. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't weakness. It was recognition. The enemy saw something in him he had not yet seen in himself. The shadow's voice cracked now, barely holding shape. "We never feared your strength. We feared the moment you realized you had it." And there it was. The truth behind everything. The revelation that shattered the last of the illusion. This wasn't a battle of power. It was a battle of awareness. The enemy had power until the chosen one understood his identity. Now, everything reversed. The shadow dissolved violently, ripping itself away from the battlefield like a creature fleeing fire. The air cleared. The streetlight flickered back to normal. The cold faded instantly. Everything snapped back into silence. He stood alone again, but stronger than he had ever been, because tonight, he didn't just survive. He didn't just endure. He awakened, and when a chosen one awakens, demons don't attack. They run. The world felt strangely still the next morning. It wasn't the stillness of quiet streets or early dawn. It was spiritual stillness, the kind that comes after something breaks in the unseen realm. The chosen one woke with a heaviness in his chest, not from fear, but from realization. He sat on the edge of his bed, elbows on his knees, hands clasped. The memory of last night replayed in slow motions, the whispers, the shadow, the confession. The moment the veil tore, he felt different, not stronger, but clearer. He finally understood something the world had never explained. The enemy wasn't attacking him because he was weak. The enemy was attacking because he was becoming impossible to control. Outside, the sun was beginning to rise. Soft gold light washed across the room, touching the floor, the walls, his hands. It felt symbolic, almost sacred, like the world was trying to show him that the shift in the spiritual realm was now settling into the physical one. He exhaled slowly. Everything looked the same, but nothing was the same. He stood and walked to the window, watching the horizon glow brighter. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel watched. He didn't feel drained. He didn't feel surrounded by invisible pressure. The atmosphere had changed. Something had been uprooted, but the enemy was not gone. It had simply been exposed, and exposure is fatal for darkness. He stared out at the quiet street, feeling the soft warmth of morning. It was peaceful, yes, but beneath that peace, he sensed movement. Not around him, within him, a rising, a strengthening. a sharpening of something ancient that had been dormant inside him for years. He whispered to himself, not in confidence, but in understanding. They weren't watching to destroy me, they were watching to predict me. That truth landed heavy. The enemy had studied him, studied his routines, studied his reactions, studied his fears, studied his triggers, studied the wounds that hurt him. Most every attack he'd faced wasn't random, it was calculated. Their blueprint had been detailed: where to hit, when to hit, how to hit, who to use, what to whisper, what to steal, what to delay, what to distract, what to distort. They mapped out every vulnerable point in his life like a strategist maps terrain before a battle. But last night, the entire blueprint collapsed, and now they were scrambling. He turned from the window and walked toward the living room. The sunlight spilled across the hallway as if guiding him. He grabbed a glass of water, sat on the couch, and leaned back, letting his mind open, not in worry, but in clarity. He could feel a spiritual atmosphere around him, but it wasn't dark. It was watchful, protective, powerful, and then something unexpected happened. As he closed his eyes, he was pulled inward into a vision. Not a dream, not imagination, a revelation. He found himself standing in a vast, dark room. A round table sat in the center, with shadows gathered around it, flickering like twisted silhouettes. They were murmuring, frantic, terrified voices overlapping in chaos. He understood instantly. He was witnessing the enemy's meeting. They couldn't see him, but he could see them. Their panic was raw. One shadow slammed its hand on the table, voice cracking. "He wasn't supposed to see us." Another hissed, "His sight is opening too fast." A third shouted, trembling, "The plan is ruined. The boy has awakened." But then a heavier presence entered the room, darker and louder than the rest. The others backed away instantly, shrinking, bowing, trembling. The authority among them, it growled, "It's not his awakening that destroys us." The room fell silent. The leader's voice shook the air. "It's that he believed what he saw." The words echoed through the chamber, vibrating like thunder, and the chosen one understood the meaning. Immediately, many people feel spiritual attacks. Many feel heaviness, whispers, strange events. Many feel watched, drained, sabotaged, but few believe what they're sensing. The enemy thrives in disbelief, not denial-disbelief. Because if you don't believe what you're experiencing, you won't fight it, you won't resist it, you won't awaken to it. But he did. He believed, he recognized the unseen. He accepted the supernatural. He embraced the reality that most ignore. And because of that, the enemy completely lost control. The leader slammed a hand against the table again, making the darkness ripple. We can no longer attack in secret. He sees us, he hears us, he discerns us. Another shadow whispered shakily, "Then what do we do?" The leader's voice came like a breaking storm. "We run." The chamber fell into complete chaos, shadows scattering, tripping over each other, fleeing, dissolving into the blackness. The vision snapped. He gasped and opened his eyes. Breath sharp, heart steady, but awake. The glass of water in his hand shook, slightly, not from fear, from power. He had just witnessed the enemy's collapse. Firsthand, the truth echoed through him like a bell. They don't fear your strength, they fear your sight. He placed the glass down slowly, leaning forward, elbows on his knees. He felt the weight of his calling press against him, not heavy, but steady. Like a mantle settling onto his shoulders, he whispered into the quiet room, "They were never fighting to destroy my destiny. They were fighting to delay it." And now that their blueprint had been shattered, there was no more delay, no more confusion, no more sabotage, no more hidden attacks. Everything was exposed, which meant one thing: the Chosen One was officially unstoppable. He stood, feeling warmth expand across his chest, not adrenaline, not excitement, but divine alignment. The world outside was changing with the rise of the sun, and so was he. He could feel a pull, a gentle but undeniable calling, a direction he needed to move toward, a next step he needed to take, a mission that whispered to him like a steady heartbeat, "Walk forward. Your path is clear now." But with clarity comes confrontation. And as he took his first step toward the door, he felt it. Someone was waiting for him outside. Not an enemy, not darkness. A messenger, a guide, a presence sent to deliver the answer. The enemy never wanted him to know. The moment he reached the door, the air shifted, soft, warm, electric. He placed his hand on the handle, and then a voice whispered from the other side, "You're ready." The moment he touched the door handle, the world seemed to hold its breath. Not a sound moved. Outside, not a bird, not a gust of wind, not even the hum of distant life. It was as if creation itself paused, waiting for the chosen one. Step into the next chapter written for him before he was ever born. He opened the door slowly. Sunlight poured in, warm and blinding for a moment. And when his eyes adjusted, he saw someone standing a few feet away. Not a figure of flesh and blood, not some mystical creature. It was light, a being made of light, soft, golden, vibrating like a silent thunder. No face, no features, just presence, ancient, familiar, comforting. He didn't step back, he didn't flinch, he simply breathed. The being spoke without a mouth, with a voice that sounded like every prayer he ever whispered, answering itself. "Walk with me." The Chosen One stepped forward, and suddenly the world around them shifted. Not physically, spiritually. He could see people walking, cars driving, birds flying, yet they were frozen in still frames, as though time paused just for this moment. He looked around, stunned. "Where am I?" The being answered, "In between. The place where truth speaks before it reaches the earth." They walked down the street. To anyone else, it looked like a normal path, but in the spirit realm, the ground shimmered with gold beneath their feet. As they moved, the being of light said, "You wonder why the attacks suddenly broke?" The Chosen One nodded. "The answer is simple," the being continued. "You stepped into alignment." He frowned softly. "Alignment with what?" The being turned its glowing form toward him. "With who you were always meant to be." The words struck deep, like a memory he had forgotten. Returning to him, they kept walking. People around them remained frozen, their shadows wavering unnaturally, as though exposed to a light they weren't built to withstand. The being spoke again. "You think the enemy feared your strength, but it feared your recognition." The Chosen One's chest tightened. "Recognition of what?" The being answered before he could speak. "Your identity." Suddenly, the world flashed, and in front of him appeared moments from his life. Nights he cried, Alanises he was betrayed, attacks he couldn't understand, lisses that shattered him, people who wounded him, nights he felt watcher dreams, that shook him, battles he didn't have language for it. Memory played like a hologram. The being of light touched one. Memory, a moment he almost gave up and said gently, "They attacked most when you were closest to awakening." The chosen one swallowed hard. Why? The being turned to him, and this time, its voice didn't sound like thunder. It sounded like truth. Because the moment a chosen one knows who they are, darkness loses its grip. The street around them flickered. The air grew warm. Light expanded. The being continued. "You were never meant to live small. Never meant to dim yourself. Never meant to blend in. Never meant to apologize for your gifts." Images of people mocking him, doubting him, betraying him, judging him, flashed before him one by one. They saw the mantle before you did. A heavy silence filled the air, not burdensome, but awakening. The chosen one finally asked, "Why did the trap reverse? Why did the enemy run?" The being looked at Hymas, if surprised he even needed to ask. Because a trap can only hold what does not know its wings. He inhaled sharply. The being touched his chest and suddenly his spiritual vision opened wider than ever. He saw dark entities fleeing, scattering into the distance, ashes blown by a storm. They weren't walking away, they were running, scrambling, terrified from him. "What changed?" he whispered. The being answered, "You stopped fighting like a wounded child and started walking like a crowned heir." The light around the being glowed brighter. You became untouchable. Moment you you were chosen. His breath caught. Not because the words were poetic, but because they were true. He felt something rise within him, like fire made of peace, like authority made of stillness, like confidence that came not from ego but from heaven's decree. He looked at the being. "So what now?" The being stepped closer. The whole atmosphere hummed. "Now you step into your assignment. Now you walk with eyes open. Now you move with authority. Now you speak with fire. Now you live with purpose." The being raised a hand and suddenly, the frozen world around them began to move. Again time resumed. Life breathed. Sound returned. Everything normalized. Except him. He wasn't the same. The being began to fade, before disappearing completely. It spoke one final sentence. "Darkness cannot come near what heaven has claimed." Then it vanished. The chosen one stood alone, but not truly alone. He felt heaven around him. He felt strength within him. He felt clarity before him.